just so we're all on the same page. And I really apologize if I bring it down to the most basic level. I'm not trying to talk anybody down. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So what we've done is we've connected it to 5 volts or 12 volts power, and this is external power. So we know the batteries aren't dead. If I wanted to, I could check the connections and make sure I was getting 12 volts to it. But a better way to check is just simply to turn it on. And you notice there's a little red LED that lights up when it's on. That's really important. One, because it tells us the ESC is powered, but two, it shows information. That LED has gone off. The ESC is still being powered, but that LED has indicated that the opportunity for us to program it is over and it is now ready to be operated in the configuration that we've set. So to get back to the settings, all I have to do is turn it off and then back on again. While the red light is lit, I must press and hold the reset button. And I'm not going to let this go. As soon as I've cleared all 12 beeps or whatever it does, I'm now in the settings mode. And the beeps correspond with the light. So if I'm connected to my motor, I will hear it instead of see it, which can be really important if you've already glued these onto your ROV chassis, because in that case it'd be really hard to see the lights but really easy to hear the motors. Another very important detail is I have it disconnected from the board and the board is unpowered. And I don't know if the board has to be unpowered, but just to get rid of all the error, I've totally disconnected it, which should be easy to do since we're not hardwiring these into the cape. So anyway, you can hear the beeps and you probably can guess there's some information there. Eric's done a really good job of outlining that information on the wiki. And there's 2 levels. There's the type of setting and then what value it is. So I'm going to go ahead and let go, and we're going to ignore the beeps for a minute. I'm going to turn it off. If you look here, you can see the item line, or the item column, has 1 through 10. Those are the 10 different settings that we have control over. And then the value is the number within each setting that we want to set it to. So for example, item 1 is what mode the ESC is operating in. You can actually go on their website and download a full, like, I guess you'd call it a matrix of all the information they have out there. So item 1, that first number here in this first column, says, okay, this is the pre-configured settings. You can set it to 4-wheel drive, we can set it to race car, drag racing. We want to set ours to rock crawler, and I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I think it has a lot to do with 100% braking force, so that for example, you're able to reverse it with as much power as you're able to go forward, and that's really important for people who are driving more or less off-road radio control things that need independent wheel control. So the next thing is you notice the value should be 3. So how do we check these? If you look in the wiki, there's basically a kind of a Morse code thing that we were describing. Each beep corresponds to what value you're at. So for example, when I was holding down the button and you heard beep, 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 it's 1, 2, 5 is not 5 short beeps, it's 1 long beep, so that's where it switches over. So 6 would be 1 long, 1 short. So it's a little bit like Morse code, and we can actually demonstrate that here. Again, I have to push and hold this while the light is still red. Continue to hold it through the startup. Keep holding, don't let go. And we're now going to cycle through each category. So that's 1, 2, I bet you can guess what's next, right? 3. I want you guys to hear 6 and 7 though, because these sound a little different. So that would be 6. 7, right? Can we guess what 10's gonna be?
2 long ones?
That's right. You get the prize.
Woo.
So at the very end, it's going to go back to the beginning. So I'm going to go through all 10 categories. And back to 1. So how do I check what the value is associated with each category? Well, I simply let go of the reset button while that category is beeping. Like, so for example, if I wanted to check 1, or in this case 5, I'd let go before it got to 6. So I'm going to check 7, which is the next one. So I let go. And now I don't have to hold the button down. But notice, it beeps just once. So that means my category 7 is in the 1 value. Like, the value of category 7 is 1. And I can look on the table here and see that that's a value we've associated with the drag brake force. And it should be 1. So that one's correct. That one's fine. Let's move on to 8. Guess what we have to do to get to 8? Turn it off. Turn it back on. Hold down the button.
nice and laborious.
Oh yeah, it takes a while, and you have to do this 3 times. All right, so we're going into category 4. So watch how I do this. I'm gonna wait. That's 1. Wait.
Why don't you do one that you're
2.
going to change? Like 5.
I think 4 is a change.
Oh, it doesn't come in soft punch?
So let go. So this is the other tricky part of programming the ESCs. Remember I said the first tricky part was to make sure it's disconnected? The next tricky part is I have to go through and identify what number it's on and how to get to what number. So this is category 4. I let go after 4 beeps, but before 5 beeps, or before 1 long beep, sorry. What's the value of 4? Anybody?
Sounds like it's at
5.
That's right. It's at 5, and that's what's tricky about it, because it sounds like it's at 1, but that's a long beep.
That's good to
So
know.
okay, so how do I change the values now that I'm in there and it's giving me constant value update? Well, I just push the reset button and it'll cycle through. So now I'm on 6. Right. So what can be difficult about this? There's not necessarily 10 values. Some have more than 10, some have only 2 values, some have 3. So each category is going to have, its own number of values based on the different things that you can program it to. So we're in category 4. I'm not sure what that is. We need to get to 1. I'm at 6, so that means I can only go up. I can't go back, so I'm going to hit it again and see where I go. So that sounds like 7. So I want to go to 1, so I'm going to keep going. 8. Uh-oh, this might be a long one. Now, it doesn't really matter at what point I hit the button. Like, timing with the first category, the different categories, it does matter when you push the button or let go of the button in this case. For this, I can just push it anytime. Oh, that sounds like 9. That sounds like 1. All right, so now it's 1. What do I do when I'm ready to save that value?
Just flip it off. Nice.
Turn it off. All right, so let's go to something else I have to change. I think, do you remember what other one?